do not directly start off by saying that I need a job. Yeah. So first connect with them, understand what their company is doing.
A lot of people think that HR doesn't have any other work rather than just hiring and firing. What other work does an HR do? So, hello everyone. I am Sweekriti, and today we are going to talk to Captain Vivek Singh. He is the HR head in Wealthy. Wealthy is basically a company that helps you decide where you can invest, manage your finances better. He has also worked for Renault, Orient Craft, Arzu, and he has also worked in Indian Army as an HR for more than 6 years. So, in total, I think he has more than 16 years of experience and let's go straight into the video and let's talk to him and ask him few questions about how he shortlists candidates and how important is resume building and what are the things that needs to be there in a resume to make it stand out. Having an online degree makes any difference while you're shortlisting candidates?
I think what is more important is what we see when we evaluate somebody with an online degree is what has been the prime reason that somebody is chosen to go for an online degree.
Okay.
Maybe they could have been taken up a part-time job because of which they would not been able to actually get in for a full-time degree. So we definitely look at the proposition and the profile from all the angles.
Mm.
And I would always say
Don't
that
simply reject.
anybody, yeah, so anybody coming from an online degree is not a taboo for us. So
Mm.
just to clarify it here, in fact, we value people who come with work experience while having studied because it's like practically having an on-job experience, right?
Yeah, I was
It
just
makes them
coming to
more
this
practical.
that does it add more value when a person has an online degree as well as has a work experience? Because
Absolutely. But so if you ask me, we prefer those kind of people. Rather, we would
mm,
always prefer somebody who's had a work experience while they've done. Because see, whatever said and done, theoretical knowledge will always is always got its value. But then there is an edge when you've actually tried and put them to test. Right.
mm.
So practicality gives you a lot of advantage over that which you study in a college. So
So
somebody who comes
prior
with that work
work
experience is
experience
important.
is
Yeah.
more advantageous
Absolutely.
when.
Absolutely. It holds a lot of value.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay, okay. What should an interviewee ask, that makes that person stand out in front of you? कि, अच्छा ठीक है, मतलब that person has some caliber. Maybe I can shortlist him. मतलब,
I, I think that's a good question that you've asked. To shortly answer them, any interviewee, if at all they try to show some interest in the company and would
okay.
want to understand what does the company intend to do in a little long-term vision, gives the interviewer a lot of confidence that this person is looking at a longer stint and means business when he wants to come to us. So rather than talking only about the compensation that the company could offer to you, if
Hmm.
you try and spend some more time to understand how will the role evolve over a period of time and how is the organization going to shape up in the coming years,
Hmm.
that question is an important question for the interviewer to ask the interviewer, and that holds a lot of importance because that gives us a perspective into what they are thinking.
Yeah, what as an individual the person is.
Absolutely,
And
absolutely.
what are the common mistakes that a candidate makes while,
So I think, like I was mentioning, one of the common mistakes that people end up doing, which candidates end up doing, is quickly trying to jump onto what are the perks, privileges, or what are the compensation, or what is the need for them. So while all of that is very important, of course, we understand that's why you're looking for a job change.
Yeah.
But I think what is more important is to be patient, play your cards well, try
Hmm.
and understand initially what is that the companies want you to do. Be a part of the bigger vision.
Hmm.
I'm sure once you're there on board with them, a lot of perks and privileges as it is flow into it.
Hmm. Hmm.
So
Hmm.
I think that is what people should avoid doing is directly coming on to conclusion to understand what is in it there
Hmm.
for them.
Okay. Any other mistake that you would like to highlight other than this?
I think one common mistake that I see with most of the interviews that I go for is people are not well prepared these days of what the company does. They don't read the JD, right? They don't
Hmm.
put in any effort to understand what the company is. See, it'll always remain there, right? From ages we've been seeing this that the employer would always want to know how interested are you in the
Yeah.
company. So I think what these days people are missing out is to spend some time to understand about the company, about its background. So one must definitely do it. I think it's a hygiene point. So definitely spend some 5 minutes, 10 minutes, just read about the company, have
Hmm.
some knowledge about it. It'll always give you an edge over others.
Mm. Any candidate that you have found, like that particular resume that you have found that it's so, well made, the interview went great. Like any candidate, any quality that you would like to mention of? Um,
That's again a good question. See, what happens, especially being in the startup space, you come across some really great talented folks. I would always want to give it to this that today's generation, the Gen Z generation, they're very self-aware of what they're doing, what they're looking out for, right? So they're very articulate, they're very smart people.
mm,
And for most of the CVs, which I would categorize in this level, is somebody who can keep it absolutely crisp and in an organized format. So when you see the entire flow of work, when you see the way they have put down their achievements and the way they will conduct themselves, even during the interview is concerned, all
mm,
of that holds a lot of importance. And that's what actually strikes with an interviewer. So as an interviewer, my style of questioning is I will always throw a bucket of questions in one go to you. And I
mm,
would want to understand that how much have you assimilated and
mm,
in what order are you answering back to me. So
mm.
if at all I see that a person has been able to do this, I judge that yes, they are a good listener. They
Okay.
can assimilate thing and then they can articulate and answer you back. So that's
Very,
something
very
that I value.
smart, Vivek. Very smart.
I think yes, these are very important because the people are really very smart these days. You need to have some differentiators between them.
Do you want to give me more tips and tricks? What are things that you throw at
No, but
candidates while
no, so
shortlisting?
so like I told you, right, these days the generation is very smart. I think we've got some really great folks who try and apply for jobs and who are there in
Mm,
Spain. I think my only suggestion to all of them who are looking for a job is keep it absolutely simple, be truthful,
uh,
don't go for flowery and fancy words in your resume.
mm,
Write what you have done and be confident of what you're speaking. I think this is what somebody is looking at. So if you talk about today's time and all these freshers and they're who are there out of the colleges, right?
mm,
Uh, we do understand that they have not had the work experience. Of course, it'll be very foolish of us to expect a lot from them.
right.
What we look for in them is the intent. If you
Mm,
have the intent to work, to intent to learn, and you have the discipline and you are dedicated, right? All
mm,
of this you can definitely understand during the process of the interview. I think this is what we want. Of course, we will teach you, we will train you, and you will be able to scale well. So
mm.
this is the basics. Keep it simple and be truthful to yourself. You will definitely find a good place.
So, like, does educational qualification matters more to you as an HR or about
Depends. See, but it depends, Vikriti, as to which profile are you you're applying for, right?
true?
Somebody like, let's say today, if there is something to do with the digital marketing, just giving you an example.
Mm,
So
mm,
obviously, somebody who has had knowledge in digital marketing or who would know how to do this would only be able to fetch that kind of a job. Or let's say a big data or a machine learning or an AI. Those
right.
kind of things will only be substantiated with the right amount of education. But
Education.
there are certain fields wherein your creativity would take an edge over anything else when it comes to designing or any kind of a sales
Right.
strategy. But if at all you've got a work experience, then that will triumph over the education as such. So
Mm.
it depends on which profile are you attending for. But definitely education and certification will definitely have their own value.
And what about universities? Renowned universities do hold a point of attraction in the resume. When a person has studied from IIT or IIM, that do add value, right?
Absolutely, absolutely. I would definitely not deny this because today in wealthy also, if you go through the profile of the people that we have, I think 60% of them are from the IITs or the IIMs, right? If
Mm,
not less.
mm,
So definitely there is an edge which is given. So see, I'll tell you why the edge is also there,
mm,
because today, like I told you, while there are so many people who are applying, right, and they're wanting a job, it's and when you're actually filling out positions for so many open positions in your organization, you might not have a lot of time to keep spending on everybody to evaluate them on every angle. So
right.
one of the greatest criteria is to select people from these tier one colleges
Mm,
because it makes life simple because they've already proved a lot while being there and have studied there.
mm.
Makes your life simple. Then the search is very minimalistic and you go ahead and get them on board. But otherwise, to start from the scratch takes a lot of effort. So
But
definitely
don't
it
you
does add
think
value.
that this process needs a change and there must be some alteration made to it? Because um, it sounds because only few can go to IITs, only few can go to IIM and qualify. Um, why
So, Sukriti,
just just the
I
parameter to judge any candidate? That's
No, so I'll harp a little more on this. I think I need some more clarity to be given here.
Hmm,
So, like they say, it's democratization of education, right? So
hmm,
it's not that it's only if you're from the IITs or the IIMs are you able to do this. What
hmm,
happens is also the kind of profile that one looks at and the kind of expertise that these guys come from. So most of these techies or some product guys, you find from them being trained in a manner or they have done their education in a manner where they're able to be compatible to it. So there are certain positions which are a plug and play when you try and fit these people. Having said this, It's not that you don't have people. When I've said the 60% of the people who are there in, let's say, wealthy, which is from the IIT, and they're across levels. But
Hmm.
then also the other 40% who are coming from all other colleges and doing exceedingly well for themselves.
Hmm.
And they are, it's not that we have got any segregation that if you're from the IIT, we'll pay you this, if you're from this college, we'll pay you this.
Hmm.
It's absolutely flat in terms of that.
But
And there is
just
flat
a cross
equal opportunity.
questioning, just a cross question. But isn't this the process in like really big top MNCs? Just as you said that only we only hire IITs and IIMs. मतलब एक होता है एक, I think there is a process in which um, um, back in the back end stream where how the resume is shortlisted. वहां पर ये चीज filter out होती है I think in the
So
resume.
see, like I was mentioning in the previous question that you'd asked me, there are certain criteria and there's certain positions for which they specifically look for a particular kind of candidates. And
Hmm.
that is a time when in the AI and the ATS, they would put a filter that they would need people only from the tier one colleges. You'd see many JDs where it's written that you should be amongst the tier one colleges or from the XLRI, IIMs or the IITs. They write it very specifically because they have this kind of a requirement, and there are certain companies which are still following this.
And is
However,
there
like I
any
mentioned,
keyword?
just
Sorry. Is there any keyword that is, there put in that your resume should have that keyword and that's how it gets shortlisted? Is it?
of course. I'm sure everybody knows of ATS, right? The applicant tracking system, which is there, right? So there are always these keywords that the applicant tracking system will keep looking for in your CV, so that it gets shortlisted. That's why we keep saying that whenever you are preparing your CV, right, you
Hmm.
should understand what are the things, what are the key skill sets these days people are looking for. Even your behavioral traits that you want to exhibit and you want to put across, it has to be relevant to what is being used today in the parlance, right? Because
Okay.
that helps you getting shortlisted quickly by the ATS. Because end of the day, ATS is just a computer. They
Hmm.
are only going to look for those keywords and get you selected,
Hmm.
and then you get an opportunity then to meet a human and then exhibit your skills.
Hmm.
So be very watchful when you're making your CV. Keep it simple, but then keep using those right words which describes you, right?
So
So
right words as in what the job profile is.
absolutely. So, one of the easiest way to do this is any JD. That's why I said most of the people make a mistake of not reading a JD. Any JD which you read will obviously tell you what are the key skills and behavioral traits that you're looking for in a person.
Right.
So, one important thing for all the people who are looking out for jobs and all is, do not bank on only one JD, one CV, which people generally do. You
Huh.
should have various CVs for various applications that you're putting through. So
Okay.
every JD will have its own thing. So a right person will spend time on the JD and then recarve their CV to apply for that job. You can't just make one master CV and keep floating it everywhere. So if at all you're keen on doing this, you'll have to put in some kind of
You
an
have
effort, read
opened
the
my
JD.
eyes.
So I think that's important because that's why the ATS and all is there, and that's why you see many people you would see with multiple offers right in their hand, and then they're saying that I've got offers from this also, I'm having offer from this also, I've got three companies. They are those people who might not tell you all of this that they're doing, but
Hmm.
there's certainly this amount of effort that they put in, that they try to carve their CV in a manner so they clear the ATS and they come and then they're able to express what they know, right? And that's how they bag a job. So some amount of effort is definitely required there.
So you need to prepare at least 2 to 3 CVs
Absolutely.
according to the which profile of the job companies that you're applying to. Um,
Absolutely. Read about it, read the JD. I think you'll be there.
so is there like any salary package difference for people who have you know graduated from top colleges or have done a conventional degree versus an online degree? Is
I
there any salary package difference?
I think it was there some time back. I would definitely say it was there some time back,
Hmm.
maybe before the COVID times, but it has changed now. So I'll give you a point now. So it's simple that nowadays you must have also heard everybody talks about upskilling, right? That you
Right.
just keep upskilling while you're at a job. Now imagine today if you have to upskill, it's not possible for you to every time leave your job, take a break, and go and study.
Right.
Most of these top colleges also now have started all VIL programs, right? That is
Hmm.
virtual inline
Hmm.
learning programs. So I think gone are those times when salary is only been dictated by which college are you coming. While it will have its own importance, I don't deny that.
Yeah.
But especially at a job when you're going at a lateral entry and you're applying for a position, it
Hmm.
doesn't matter till the time you have the right set of skill sets and you have the work experience or the drive and determination to do that. The difference, if at all, is there would be very minimalistic. So very minuscule. I don't think so. That's something that one has to bother about.
Is there anything else that you want to talk about resume and stuff? Like, two to three points you said about resume. One is that you should keep it very crisp. One page resume is enough. Just keep
Right.
it very simple. Whatever your work experiences show that. Use keywords while you are applying at different job profiles or in different companies. Any other thing that a person should keep in mind when they are updating their resume or
So I would always recommend people who are even more serious towards finding a job and they are reaching out to people, right?
hmm,
A covering letter always helps, right?
cover?
So to your resume, if you have a covering letter which gives a brief snapshot about who you are, that
Hmm,
gives a good exposure and a good insight to the interviewer about you or the person who's selecting this. Secondly, it also shows that you're keen about this position. That's why you've put in that kind of an effort to give some extra information. So always remember, you need to stand out in terms of showing the effort and the urgency to look for the job.
hmm,
Because you would see today a job posting coming on LinkedIn, within a day there are 200 applicants. How
hmm,
would anybody know that who's more keen on it? So there's somebody who reaches out to that company's HR and says that I've seen the job posting of yours and I'm keen and interested. Would always strike a balance and a chord with the HR, saying that okay, this person is definitely more intrigued into finding this job here and
hmm,
has reached out to me. So you have to stand out in your own manner. So that's why I'm saying something like making a covering letter or reaching to the HR on LinkedIn, applying
ah,
to them, speaking to them, striking a chord with them is important.
hmm, hmm,
Always one important thing is, whenever first time when you reach out to an HR on a LinkedIn, please do not directly start off by saying that I need a job. Yeah. So first connect with them, understand what their company is doing, tell them something about themselves.
yeah,
One, the first conversation, the second conversation, that is when you can let them know that okay, I'm also looking for an opportunity. Could there be something that I could try out
yeah,
at your place? That is more decent, and the HR would also appreciate that. Yes, you've shown some patience, because what happens today as HR, we are flooded with so many messages which keeps coming to us, open to work, and everybody writes that I'm looking for a job. There's a standard script that you're writing, right?
right.
Also, that is something which is a misnomer. Don't do that. When
Hmm,
you're trying to reach out to an HR also of different companies, taking that effort to reboard HR, write it with their name, address it to them
yeah.
particularly, and write something about themselves so that they feel that okay, you've taken some effort to know them. Don't try to do this, because people do this, dear sir, comma, I am looking for a job, and they cut copy paste in 10 windows. I think that's not the right approach to do.
Yeah.
Put in some efforts. The key is only this: put in some efforts, because efforts will also show results and you'll be able to benefit out of it.
So HRs do read cover letter when they're interested in the candidate's resume, right? That is the time when you focus on the cover letter, or the cover letter comes first.
So see, it's like the chicken and egg situation you're saying. So when I get a mail, let's say people write in directly to me also, because my, let's say if they're able to find out my email ID, they will write a mail to me. So I read their mail. What have they written? What have they expressed about themselves? And then I go to their CV. Then I see their CV. So I would initially always would want to see what have they written in the mail, which is basically the covering letter, which shows about them. How articulate are they? Have they actually put down their own points? What are they looking for? Are they desperately looking only for a job, or are they looking for something to do meaningful? That's why they've come to me. Like
Mm,
today, there are so many employers, right? Why would you want to go and work with a particular employer is important. Is it only for you to secure a job and earn a livelihood for yourself? Or
mm,
is it that you actually are able to see yourself matching with the vision that the company has, and that's why you feel that this is going to add value to you? If
mm,
you're doing the latter, you're making more sense to the company.
true.
But if at all you're only looking for a livelihood, there are many others who are doing that. So you're there in the rat race. So segregate yourself from them
Mm.
and try and find a purpose as to why would you want to work with a company. That will work in your benefit.
So the cover letter basically should have like a little personality of you, with also
Absolutely.
saying why you want to join this company, right?
Absolutely. As to like you rightly said that okay, if they found out that there's an open position which is there, and why is that their candidature would fit in the best, and then requesting that okay, here's my CV, please
Mm,
go through it. If not anything, they'll definitely can expect a reply from the HR, which is good enough to strike a conversation, then take it forward from there.
mm. Also, do gap in year of studies matter? Matlab, does that candidate have less chances of getting that job if he or she has a gap in year of studies or maybe job?
Well, I think that was a time, like I said, I keep referring to this. That was a time which was pre-COVID era. but after COVID, it's changed because,
Mm,
of course, a lot of things have been there. Nowadays, everybody has started valuing work-life balance, and there's something known as a mental wellness, which is important. There are people who are facing burnout or facing a lot of other issues at the home front because of which they need to take a break to take care of themselves, which is nothing wrong.
mm,
So nowadays, I would definitely say it's not a taboo to take a break and come back from a break. It's
mm.
absolutely fine until unless you know what was that break for. If it is a legitimate, genuine reason that you are taking that break, it's absolutely fine.
So is that candidate, do they have to explain it to the HR? Is
No,
needed?
so to answer to your question, okay, if you're saying that if at all somebody has a break, would I reach out to them? I would definitely reach out to them.
Will that candidate have a chance of getting the job, or will that
Yeah, so
person have
so
little
I
less
would say that
chance?
the candidate still has an absolute fair chance to get that job. So
Okay.
even if there is somebody who has complete continuous service and
Hmm.
there's somebody who's has had a job a gap of let's say a year, I would not hesitate to even reach out to this guy. I will
Okay.
give both of them the equal opportunity. I'll try and rather understand that what was this gap for. If
Hmm.
at all I understand that yes, it was a legitimate, genuine reason, like I said, we
Hmm.
would still go ahead with that candidate.
I think that also depends on HR to HR. What do you?
I think now things have changed. I think most of the HRs, because I'm part of many a fraternity of the HRs, I keep doing this on and off.
Hmm.
And we have seen that now there's a tectonic shift that you see in the
Hmm.
HR
Hmm.
thing also because we need to be empathetic and we started being empathetic now, more empathetic towards understanding how people could go through, right? So I think we do understand that there could be various reasons people would have taken a break and we value it. So
Hmm.
I think it's a very fair chance now. It's absolutely fair and opportunity for everybody.
Hmm.
Like I said, until unless you had a genuine reason for doing so, I think it absolutely is okay. You don't have to worry about that.
Okay. What do you think about technological advancement? Do you think the AI will take over human jobs in coming years?
Uh, so this is a very interesting piece, right? Because yesterday only I was actually in one of the seminars, which is to talk about the Chat GPT 4.0, which is going on, right?
Mm,
So interestingly, many people were having the same questions, and there was one of this quote on Twitter, which a gentleman had written that
mm,
you will not lose job to AI, but
yeah.
you'll definitely lose job to somebody who knows how to use AI. So
Mm,
it's not about so it's not about the AI taking up your job, but
yeah.
it's about how prepared are you to also adapt to those new learnings here.
Mm,
So I think AI is not here to take your jobs, but
mm,
yes, AI is definitely going to push you to start learning what it has to offer to you. So if at all you think that you could stay in oblivion and neglect all of this which is going on and choose to be under a rock,
mm,
then you could be in a trouble. But then if you're open to adapting to technology and wanting to understand what it has to offer, I think it'll only give you more value and keep you on the edge to keep succeeding, keep growing.
right. Yeah. One should know how to use ChatGPT. People are.
Yeah, Chat GPT for that matter, I'm talking about any kind of an AI, right? Any kind of digital transformation which is going on. The only thing is you should be willing to learn that rather than avoiding it because
I think a
you
lot
can't
of
avoid it. It's the future.
I think a lot of AI tools were not, in the market, and people were not very much aware. Since ChatGPT has come into the picture, people are more aware about using the AI tools, and now they are using to write. I think people are saying that they don't need content writers now, which I heard.
No, so
But
I think so the scare which is there generally in people that many jobs will phase out and
mm,
many requirements will not be there. I don't think so. One has to worry about it.
mm,
That's why people keep talking about upskilling, right? Anything which is very transactional nature will definitely be endangered today or tomorrow.
mm, mm,
The only key is you have to keep evaluating yourself and keep seeing that am I adding any value to my job that I'm doing? Because tomorrow, if you've been doing the same work for 10 years, which is so transactional today, then definitely it will become redundant at some point in time. You cannot avoid it. So the sooner you can wake up and smell the coffee and realize that upskilling is the only way forward and technological advancement is something you can't escape from, you learn it. You
mm.
are absolutely safe. You can keep growing.
Okay. Apart from, I think you have answered a lot of my questions, and I think people will attain some knowledge from your experience. And I think mostly the resume part that you spoke about, and how online degree is not a taboo anymore. So I have two very out of the box questions that is not related to anything around online degree or anything. I just want to know, like, a lot of people think that HR doesn't have any other work rather than just hiring and firing. What other work does an HR do?
Like I'm surprised if people feel this way because today I have about 16 years of work experience. Let's say purely 10 years in corporate
Uh,
doing HR. And I think hiring and firing is not the only job. Gone are those days when HR used to be more of those admin and facilitators when they used to only do talent acquisition. There's a
Mm.
lot more to HR. Today, HR is strategic HR. Today, HR is a HR business partner. So we talk about the entire journey of getting a person on board till the time they leave. So it's the entire journey. How are they adding value to the company? How is the company progressing? What are the business objectives? How is
Mm.
that HR being able to support the business? So HR is not a facilitator or support function any now. Now
Mm.
HR is an enabler. They are a frontline business contributor. Today, I know when there is a position to be filled, what is the requirement? What are the person going to be delivering onto the
Right.
field? When the deliverables happen, how do we capitalize on it? So it's a misnomer if people feel that HR is only here for hiring and firing. That's just a minuscule part of it. There is
Mm.
a much larger role that HRs have to play today. In
Mm.
fact, most of the CEOs today are only complaining about this, that the expectation that they have out of the HRs is to be more business friendly and understanding what the business needs, right? And
Right.
enabling them rather than being somebody who's sitting at one end of the corner and just trying to dictate some policy which does not have any meaning. So I think it's time for us to be more relevant to people, which we are trying
I
to do.
think HRs are more like
Sorry.
radiologists. They have to identify who would suit that particular job position, and then only the company can grow. If you are
Absolutely,
doing the
absolutely. So
job
that's
wrong,
that again is only one part of it, right? That's what I'm saying.
yeah.
Secretly, there's a lot more to do because I
I
feel that
want to
yes.
know, Vivek, name anything else because I want people to know like HR सिर्फ रंगोलियां नहीं बना रहे होते हैं मतलब एक है thought
Okay.
process वैसा है लोगों का
So I'll definitely want to answer that question. So
हाँ
I'll tell you in Wealthy, right? I've been here for about close to 15 months. We've never had a Rangoli competition or anything. That's one. So after coming here,
हम्म,
of course, there is amount of scale that we have done, which is talent acquisition, one part of
right.
it. Then comes setting up the entire HR structure, which is to do with all the policies, processes, all the practices. What is the how's the way people will work? What is that they would need to do better? Drawing out and carving out most kind of trainings which will help them grow, right? Doing
हम्म,
transversal movements of people who feel that at certain point in time they could actually transit to a different role and add value there. So there's a lot of talent management that you talk about. There's a lot
right.
of quality of management you talk about where they're working with the peers, they're working with their superiors, they're working with their subordinates, and what is the kind of support mechanism they need from each one of them.
So there are
Understanding
different
it.
different groups that are created like talent
Absolutely.
acquisition,
So,
recruiting.
so when you talk about HR as a complete paraphernalia, there's a lot of things, right? HR is like the entire thing. If you HR delivery model, when you look at, right, there's something known as the core HR, the functional HR, which will be the talent acquisition, learning and development, talent management, performance management system. There'll be a quality of management, employee engagement, let's say. Then
Mm-hmm.
there is an HR business partnering model, which is to take care of the entire front ending of the HR when you're more like a salesperson. Because today, every employee here is actually a customer to me.
Yeah.
So as an HR, I'm a one-stop window to them
Mm.
to give them a resolution to all their queries that they have. At the same time, keep enabling them with whatever they need so that they are able to give their best output.
Mm.
So there's this front end mechanism of having a HR business partner, and there's a back end of all the functional HRs who's supporting them. And
Mm.
then there's a shared service center, right? With all these transaction work which we are doing as a form filling, new person joining in, the onboarding which is happening, the exit which are happening is all being done by the shared service center. So all this paraphernalia which has been made today has been made for a sense, right? Otherwise, had it been so simple, probably there could have been just two people who are just hiring and firing people. It would be that easy. So I think there is much more to it. It's only that people need to
You have
understand.
answered my question pretty well. Now, people, you have explained different,
Yeah, I hope they understand it now better.
I brought fire in you, like you have to, and then you
I,
want.
I I think I have this most of the times being a Fauji, right?
I
Yeah.
was also thinking of asking you, how was your Indian Army experience different than working in Renault or Arzu or other different companies that you've worked in?
Okay, so see, army is a very different ball game altogether because,
Mm.
like we always say, that army or defense forces, it's not a profession; it's a way of life.
Mm.
So when you are there in the forces, you are eating, breathing, sleeping. You're only doing that, right? So 24/7, and you're there. It's a world that they create for you. Everything is there within that world when you're in the forces. So today, I would only say that army and my tenure there is basically the superset, and all other elements after which I've seen is the subset of it. Because the bedrock of discipline that I've learned while being in the forces and the way I conduct myself is all the output and the outcome of being in the forces.
Mm-hmm.
Today I'm able to think in a particular manner, act in a particular manner is all the learning that I've got from there.
Mm-hmm.
So that has helped me got better in my every tenure that I keep changing. Let's say from a Renault to an Orient Craft to an Arzu today to Wealthy. All of that has happened over a period of time, and every time I've only gathered more and more information and learned a lot of things to be a better version of myself. But then the strings have all been attached to that 6 years of my training, rigorous training and learning in the army. So
Mm-hmm.
that has taught me a lot, which I cannot give it to anybody but to the army for that. Yeah, that is how it is different.
Okay. I think I have done asking you a lot of questions. There's nothing more left.
I'm glad that I have no more questions to answer. But then otherwise, yes, it was really a nice session. Thank you so much for giving me this opportunity to be
Yeah,
a part of this program and
it was great
contribute in
talking
whatever
to
manner I could have done.
you.
Seriously, I thank you so much, and very intriguing to have heard that these kind of questions do float around. I'm really happy if at all any
Yeah.
of my thoughts today could help anybody in any manner. So
Mm-hmm.
really grateful for that.
Thank you so much. And I would connect with you again. I feel like if we have more questions, if our viewers have more questions, if they comment down more questions, I'll surely come back to you and ask few more questions. And till then, we'll see you.
Absolutely, Swikriti. Thank you so much. Thank you once again. And I'd be more than happy to be a part of this discussion anytime in future as well. Thank you so much once again for providing me this
Thank
opportunity.
you.
You have a great weekend ahead.
Yeah, you
Thank
too.
you. Thank
Thank
you. Take care.